And tonight we're talking about Variety Lights from 1951, directed by Federico Fellini and Alberto Lattuada, however that might be pronounced.
Not like that.
Lattuada?
Matuta.
Lattuada.
Fun.
Synopsis here from Letterboxd, very descriptive. A beautiful and ambitious young woman joins a traveling troupe of third-rate vaudevillains and inadvertently causes jealousy and emotional crises.
Hey, Jarrett.
Yeah.
What's a vaudevillain?
A vaudevillain? They are...
Because I thought this movie was going to be about, like, really mischievous dudes, like, up to no good, and then it wasn't. It was just about lame-ass artists and Broadway people, and I was like, oh, I thought there was vaudevillains in this.
Well, they are vaudevillains.
Well,
RJ.
what does that mean?
That's what it is. Vaudeville. Remember, see, RJ, if you paid attention to our shows, you'd recall that when we were talking about The Bank Dick and talking about W.C. Fields, I spoke of his background in vaudeville.
Well, I don't. When you talk, I just do Sudoku.
Yeah.
Sudoku.
So sometimes you even leave the room.
Sometimes I leave the room. Yeah, because I'm that bored of whatever you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like that one time you were talking about that thing. Oh.
Yep.
Okay. Well, all right. Anyways, continue about your description of the movie Variety Lights, directed by Federico the Fart Fellini.
Mm-hmm. So, this is a movie that I was not familiar with, other than I just knew that Variety Lights was directed by Fellini. When I talked about it last week, I didn't even realize it had a co-director. So I kind of didn't know what it was about, and then I kind of saw like I got still and went, oh, it's about show business. That makes sense. Variety Lights. Ha ha. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize either when we were talking about it that this was his first movie.
What?
Yeah.
I even knew that.
No, yeah. You knew
I
that?
did. I knew that.
Yeah.
I looked it up.
Yeah.
I do research, and
No,
you don't.
Yep. And so, what else? So, didn't know anything about it. I had noticed that like absolutely no one I follow on Letterboxd had seen it, and in general, very few people have actually watched this movie. And like when we get to who hates this movie, there's very little vitriol because like no one sees this movie. It's out of print as well, so that doesn't really help its availability. Yeah. You can probably thank Studio Canal for that.
I will.
So yeah, I mean, the movie is a story of like this third-rate vaudeville troupe. Starring a guy named Checo, and he is the
Cheech Marin, I believe is how you pronounce that.
He is the Wizard of Fun, an international magician. His main squeeze, a lady named Melina, played by Fellini's wife, Giulietta Messina, who you recall seeing her last in Nights in Cabiria. Yeah. And here she's like also one of the performers, and the character is also the daughter of the director of the traveling troupe. And what happens is like this band of misfits and whatnot, going town to town making a living. They run across this country girl named Liliana, and Liliana looks upon the Wizard of Fun and kind of sees like either an opportunity or like seeing like such joy and fun being brought to people in like show business, I guess, because she's like naive. She's like, I want to be just like that. I want to be a star. And of course they kind of like give her the hi hat initially, being like, yeah, okay, honey, you and every other girl who wants to come around, you think you've got it, but you don't got it. But she's got money. And they have no money. And so when it comes to like, traveling around on foot because you don't have enough money to rent a cab, she has some money. And that's the surest way to get hooked up. It's kind of a plot beat actually from Ed Wood, as a matter of fact. So anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. So it follows the trajectory you expect. They get signed up to like another like sleazy dumpy place, and they start doing their act, and like everybody starts catcalling. All these people are drunks and they just want to hang out and like just be have a good time at the expense of these performers. Liliana, she's like kind of like just not hoodwinked, but like she's just like, here, wear this dress and go out and dance. They don't like tell her how to do anything. She just goes out there. Sure, her pants tear, and they show off those delicious gams of hers. And everyone starts hooting and hollering, and then like the actual owner of the actual promoter of the outfit, he's like, I see this reaction. We can make some money with this girl. And so she starts being elevated above her level, and to the chagrin of like the other performers and the other women. And then she starts kind of like, just being like a fairly beautiful woman. All these men in positions of power, they're all just seeing her as a great opportunity. And they'll be more than happy to help her along, as long as like, just hang out with me. Let me buy you dinner. Let's hang out. Let's have some drinks. Let's go back to my place. Let's hang out in my room. And that narrative, which like watching this movie, I was like, what a perfect time to be watching this movie here in 2017. Like, 3 months ago, this movie would have a completely different vibe to it, a completely different feel. But since like this last month has happened, like you can't not read it this way. Particularly since it's like all the men are like, it's kind of like large, obese kind of dudes, all kind of gross, and like all like it's all there. And
what about Dustin Hoffman?
He's alleged RJ.
Oh, right.
And it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Anywho, so so the movie just goes along. She's working her way through. Melina, Checo's girl, she starts realizing what's going on, and this like whole life that they had kind of after the performing life, owning like a supermarket and living together, living a life together. It's all going away because he's getting caught up in this girl. But this girl, she keeps rising and rising and rising, and soon enough, she's like Chico's like chasing after her, and he's getting heartbroken and et cetera, et cetera. He's losing all his contacts. One thing leads to another, and everyone gets back together again. Liliana, the girl, she's off now, successful years later. They go off on a train, but then you see the cycle is going to begin over again. That's the movie. This movie's okay. I usually always go in, saying like, oh, I love Fellini. Guy, he can do no wrong. And in general, like Amarcord is amazing. Knights of Cabiria, amazing. And the Ship Sails On, it was okay. This is his first movie, and he didn't even fully direct it, but you can still see a lot of elements of I guess what you call the Fellini-esque here already. Like you already see his ideas and like stuff that he'd go back to for the rest of his career. It's all here, but I mean, it feels like a generic kind of story, even for 1951. I mean, there's the American movie All About Eve. It's the same thing, but that movie is super clever, has superstar actors, great script. It's just, it has so many things going for it. This movie, other than Giulietta Messina and maybe I'm dusty on my my Fellini 50s actors, but I was I didn't really know anybody in this, so there was no star factor to kind of hook you into a fairly generic story, I guess, which is just what it is. I mean, I'll talk about it more, but there's the Fellini stuff in there that you see is good, but it's not quite there yet, where it's just it really turns into a really cinematic movie. But yeah, those are kind of my general thoughts. RJ, what did you think of Variety Lights?
I had no idea that this was directed by two people.
Yeah. So
is that the first? Is that a first for us? Co-directors officially?
There's at least one other one, and Most Dangerous Game, for sure. Okay. Because that had two directors. Because that was that one for sure. And I think there's one other one too, where it's it's kind of nowadays. There's the whole guild system that fucks everything up, and it gets reflected in you remember when Sin City came out, and Robert Rodriguez really wanted Frank Miller's name on there as well, because he directed the comics, and he basically did a shot for shot remake, and because of the Director Guilds Associations, there can only be one name. And and then that's when he left. He left the guild, and that's why him and Tarantino work non-union. They just they're frustrated with that sort of stuff, and it's probably also a little cost saving and kind of underhanded and kind of weird. But that's that. I'm not an actor. I'm not part of that world, so I'm not too informed about it. But that is why you don't see two names on movies too often outside of documentaries and stuff like that. But for films, you have to have that. But this is a different era. But go continue.
Yeah. No, that was my review.
Okay. Well, other thing I'll
No,
mention
I'm
is,
just-
so
I'm just
apparently,
kidding.
I actually got a book out from the library.
Oh, you nerd.
Called Fellini by Angelo
Yeah.
Solmi, and it's from 1967. So this book is from like pretty close to when this movie was actually made. And he hadn't even finished his career yet. And I guess like from what I was reading about this making of this particular movie, Fellini worked with the actors mostly, and Lattuada he worked on with the technical side. So he was like,
Okay.
because I mean this is Fellini's first movie. Because at this point Fellini like was just like a scriptwriter. Like he was working on like the Alberto Rossellini movies and stuff like that are like really well regarded that I've never seen. But yeah, so this was his first kick at the cat.
Okay. Well, I think people know that I'm not a fan with Fellini. It's a love hate kind of deal. When I like his movies, it's kind of begrudgingly, because there's some of his movies that I really don't like, because this guy's just a fart. And he lets me down all the time.
Oh.
But sometimes he does some stuff that's okay, I guess. It's just, you know what? I think, so if there's any non-Ghoul School creeps that didn't listen to those, we talked about Spirits of the Dead with Fellini in there. And I think you really kind of nailed it on that when you said that after you watched La Dolce Vita, you kind of got turned off of Fellini for a while.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened to me. Because I watched that movie and it's like fucking 5 hours long, and we'll talk about it one day on here. And I really don't want to watch it again because that movie's so long and boring.
When I was reading about Fellini, I saw it's like La Dolce Vita is like his most like celebrated movie. Like
That's insane.
He got like I think 12 Academy Award nominations on that thing. It's nuts.
Why?
Yeah, I know.
People never saw 8.5.
That movie's a little too weird though. La Dolce Vita is like I don't know. It makes more sense to people, but like yeah, no.
Okay.
That
Well, whatever.
one day, who knows? Like in years from now, when we actually get to see that movie again, we'll see how it goes, and maybe we'll all have changed our minds by then. But yeah, Toby Dammit, folks, off of the Spirits of the Dead anthology, is fantastic. RJ even has to say that he liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. It has probably the coolest representation of the devil ever. One of the coolest ever. So I'll give the fart that one. So yeah, I was just setting the scene for a little bit. People know I'm love hate with that Fellini guy.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hold this one against him because it doesn't sound like it was his first movie and there was another director. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty much the same as you. Like, it's just a movie of its time. It very much kind of hits all the marks that it's supposed to. I think. I don't think it does anything like special. There was never anything that you're just like, oh wow, or like, oh that's cool. It just pretty much plays out how it is. There was one scene that I thought was kind of funny, and it was definitely a Fellini thing, where it's they all get let into that guy's house because like he's gonna bang the girl.
Yeah.
Basically, and they're all chewing the dinner really loud, and it's just them chewing the dinner, and it shows that for a couple of minutes, and I was like, that's a Fellini thing, I think.
Yes.
This seems like a Fellini deal.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. Watching old movies is funny sometimes because of the language and stuff like that. When one of the guys gets like double crossed, he calls the other guy a cuckold, and I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, this is where all those alt-right males are getting the beta cucks. They're all real big fans of variety lights.
Man,
this is where cuckold became popular again.
Watching this movie in 1951, it really feels different here in 2017.
Yeah.
But it's like not even like a year ago this movie would like, or a year and a half ago this movie would be like, because who the fuck's what the fuck cuck? like I just remember, like it's such a strange thing, and now it's like a thing, and everyone knows what a cuck is, or they need to be. It's explained to them now because there's like comics about it, and talking about what a bull is.
Yeah. Well, like I knew what it was because of animal behavior classes. Like not even classes, like one paragraph in one book where it's like cuckold birds, and I was like, okay. And then like I remember when that term was getting used popular, like in culture, and I was like, ugh.
Well, I don't even know if I'd call it culture. It's like a fucking troglodytes.
Yeah, like a meme.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I just brought it up because it's like it's funny when you watch old movies because there's another part where they're all kind of like walking on the road. They're like, what are we going to do? And one guy's like, well, I guess I'm just going to go back to selling salami. Or he said something about selling salami. Like, that's fun. I was like, that's a good line. I don't think it's not supposed to be funny, I don't think, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But on the whole, everyone in this movie is just a bunch of perverts, some real Harvey Weinsteins. And no, I don't know, man. I feel bad because I don't have a ton to say about it, and that's not really intentional. It was just there's not much to say. It's just kind of your Sarah Plainenthal. It's just a movie about like people doing stuff, but there's nothing really special to it, and I don't think anyone's gonna come away from this movie being like, oh wow, that really changed me, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is like, I wouldn't like, no one would actually no one recommends this movie. Like, it is for Fellini completists, I guess. Like, if you were like, I really want to watch all of Fellini's movies, well, I guess you start at the beginning and then you watch it and then you go, oh, he gets better, doesn't he? And it's like, yep. And so it's just kind of there. It doesn't have anything. I guess you could start like looking at it, I mean, from like a style perspective and being like, okay, what are the things that are like already present in the movie? And that's kind of what I did, because like the story itself, it doesn't go too crazy, or like it's been done better in other places. And the other thing I thought of too was like about like film debuts and like what are the great film debuts. And I was like, I came up with a little list of movies that I was like, these are really like for first time movies by people, these are like really impressive. One of
Getty.
One of those, yeah. Well, but no, I mean, that's not a great film, right?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
But
I know.
like Blood Simple from the Coen Brothers, that's like a pretty great film. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like that movie like completely changed horror films, and like then the guy went on to do worse movies.
Nothing.
Like he made he made lots of movies, just like they just got worse. And but it's like, but that for our first movie, it's like, holy crap, where did this come from? And like how many, like then there's like arguable people that I would throw in there, but like Michael Mann's movie Thief is like pretty impressive, I guess, for a first time movie. But yeah, there's like, you look at those lists, and it's like a lot of guys aren't like coming out of the gate swinging with like a movie where you're like, yep, that is like a great film.
What about your buddy David Lynch with Eraserhead?
I guess. I mean, yeah, Eraserhead.
I thought you loved that.
No. I kind of like actually. I guess it depends on like what you mean by feature film too, because I guess he did some short films. But yeah, Eraserhead would definitely be there. I mean, that's like a pretty, like, still revolutionary movie in every way. So yeah, that's for sure on my list. I'd also include the classic film Kids.
Oh God,
which is not RJ material.
Not anyone material. How about that?
Yeah. Great horror. It's a great horror movie.
Like, I've never
I mean,
seen it, so I don't know.
And you probably shouldn't. So yeah, I mean, like, 'cause like I was thinking of like, yeah, Christopher Nolan's Following. That movie's not very good. Some people like it okay, but
I like it. But I mean, like, I know I know what you mean.
Yeah. But yeah. So what is the Fellini-esque, RJ? And that's what I asked myself. And it's like, okay, one of the things that's like fairly common in even like the movies that we've watched is like, I mean, caricature, like a figure of people. Like he has a particular look of people that he looks toward. And just like, and like the other big thing, I think probably the central thing for a lot of his movies is women, as like objects of desire. The types of women that he has in movies, like they're fairly like full-bodied women. Like it's like kind of a Freudian kind of the type of woman that he attracts. And it's like as he gets later onto his movies, like with 8.5, when he has like the giant, like whatever that woman is with the crazy makeup and stuff like that, like that's like him addressing the fact that he has like this like weird mom fixation. So I mean that's like in this movie here about like men's obsessions with them, and like it's usually like men that are like frustrated in their like creative endeavors. Perverts, as you would call them. They're all perverts now. And yeah, there's like the caricature, the carnival, the cavalcade. There's always like scenes of like lots of characters moving and coming and going. There's like a lot going on in a scene. Lots of movement. This movie has way less movement than his other stuff. Like probably the thing I will remember most from Variety Lights is the like scenes of like the troupe on foot walking around. All that stuff with them just like walking around like down those like dirt roads and stuff like that. I thought those scenes were like quite good. Like those are probably like the highlights for me, were those just those scenes of like how like downtrodden they kind of appear at times. But here's a definition. Here's a definition, RJ, of Fellini-esque from one Bernard A. Cook from his book Europe Since 1945, an encyclopedia. Fellini-esque has come to mean a certain Italian sophistication, yet earthiness, a fascination with the bizarre, yet a love of simplicity, all wrapped in a flamboyant Mediterranean approach to life and art. These films also contain magical moments that transcended realism, and they introduced the world to a certain flamboyant lyricism we now label Fellini-esque. So I mean, this
like I say, Mediterranean.
Yeah.
That's a funny way to describe it.
Well, that's the world that it comes from. It's
I know.
It's not just a food marketing label.
No, I know. It's a funny way. It's like how Mediterranean of filmmaking.
Yeah, I guess it's
whatever.
It's just fancier way of saying Italian.
Italian.
Yeah. So then my mind kind of wandered. I was like thinking about like how like Fellini films I think are like more of like a cinematic universe than like fucking Marvel movies. Like which is like it's this weird word, and it's like I hate the word cinematic universe, but I was just like thinking about like when you're watching a Fellini movie, it doesn't take that much. Like you probably deduce that you're watching a Fellini movie pretty quick, and I suppose it's true of like Marvel movies as well, because in their blandness and like I don't know, like with Fellini or like any of like the guys that get esque or Ian like handles like Fellini does, Stanley Kubrick, John Ford, Charlie Chaplin, whatever. Like Barnloaf. I was going to ask RJ, have you ever seen anyone online drop an unironic Nolan-esque?
Nolan-esque? Like, honestly, probably.
Yeah.
I probably have, but I couldn't tell you of any. I follow Nolan fans on Twitter, so I'm pretty sure they probably dropped one on there once or twice. So
yeah, I was trying to think of like the worst like esque that I've seen. Like I was like, this film's
I don't
like
think
very...
Nolan-esque would be the worst.
No,
I would think
but
like
I was trying to think
Ratner-esque, Weinstein-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gummo-esque. Stuff like that.
Let's see.
Salo-esque.
Salo. Oh, well, those would be apt to describe certain things. Because they're one of a kind. They'd be very iconic. Then, of course, if you see Salo-esque, RJ goes the other direction. Bye bye.
Yeah, I guess.
No.
So it would be useful then.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, this movie is like just an okay 1950s Italian romantic comedy, I guess.
Exactly.
About show business and fucking around. Yeah, and I mean, I'd say that this movie actually kind of perfectly captures like the one aspect of like being a film in the Criterion Collection, our commitment to publishing the defining moments of cinema for a wider audience. And I mean, I'd say that like it's like the film debut of Federico Fellini is like an iconic moment that should be like kept, and it's good that it's in the collection. But as I was mentioning, like if you look at Letterboxd, like no one's watched this movie, and no one's kicking down anyone's doors, because like even in like that book I got out, they basically say it's like, yeah, this movie's not a success. Right. And then they kind of say, well, there's a lot going on. But I mean, from like one bit of the production I read here is like, it sounds like the first half of the movie was shot from the script, but then the second half was like far more improvised. And it was like Fellini kind of like trying to do more than he could, which is why like I do kind of remember like the second half felt odd compared to the first half. And just like, it's sort of that was definitely when my interest definitely dropped more in the movie. But yeah, so I mean, there's like this stuff like that, I suppose. As far as who hates this movie, no one really. One person here, 2 stars. This is like I think the lowest review that is English. Silly.
Hey man, that's one of the straightest, most honest, and just outright best bad reviews we've ever had on the show.
Yeah.
Other than that one, wasn't there a guy once who said something about butts or like, hey, butts or I don't know. There was a really funny one time. Anyways,
we'll get there one day.
Yeah.
And then someone named B Lan gave us 2.5 stars and said, rough start into Fellini's filmography.
Oh, well,
that's it.
I mean, he's to the point at least.
Yep. Yeah. There was no vitriol. And it seems like most people are just kind of like, yeah, this movie's okay. It's not bad, but yeah. So there you go, folks. Really setting the world on fire with our like, variety lights. This is a movie.
if anyone's asking or wonders,
okay.
that's why
not
we
bad.
didn't do Ghoul School this week, is because we were both like, this movie's fine, but there's not really a ton to talk about.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Which is true.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie.
Yeah,
but
it's not bad. It's just very there.
Yep, very there.
Very there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay then.
All right. Well, I guess we're done the show for good.
Awesome. After the break, cuckolds Weinstein.
Come on.
Fuck. One day we will never talk about those things again.
I hope it's today.
It could very well be. Who knows what will happen between now and next week.